Okay, let's just jump right in. Do you think you're good at telling when someone's lying to you? Really? Well, what if I told you that someone you know, someone close to you, might lie to you today? And the scariest part? You probably won't even notice.
Believe it or not, researchers estimate that the average person is lied to up to 200 times every single day. I mean, from tiny little white lies to these huge life-changing deceptions, they are happening all around us, and most of the time, they fly completely under the radar. It's a pretty wild number when you really stop and think about it.
Look, the truth is, everybody lies. And if you can't spot it, then you're kind of just navigating a world that's built on fake stories. But here's the good news. For years, people like detectives and secret agents have been using the secret toolkit to see right through the lies. And today, well, today we're going to open up that toolkit for you.
So where do we start? Well, the first and honestly the most important skill is just pure observation. Before you even ask a single question, you have to learn how to watch. And this all starts with a little something FBI agents call the baseline trick.
Okay, so what in the world is a person's baseline? It's simply their normal, totally relaxed state. You know, think about a friend of yours. How do they usually sit when you're just chilling and talking? What's their voice normally sound like? Do they talk with their hands a lot? That right there, that's their baseline. It's your reference point for what's true.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. Once you know their baseline, their normal, any sudden change becomes a massive red flag. So if someone who's normally super calm and makes great eye contact suddenly starts fidgeting and staring at the floor when you ask them a question, something is definitely up. That shift is exactly where the lie lives.
Let's get into a specific technique here. It's called the 5-second rule, and it is so powerful. It's simple. You ask a direct question, and then you would just watch them, like a hawk, for exactly 5 seconds. Why 5 seconds? Because that's the little window of time before their conscious brain can really cook up a believable lie. Their body, you see, it tells the truth first. And what are you looking for in that 5-second window? Things like this. Suddenly touching their face, a quick glance away, a pause that's just a little bit too long, or their voice gets suddenly higher or lower. Now remember, one of these signs could just be a random twitch, but if you spot 2 or more of these things clustered together in that 5-second window, boom, that is a very strong signal you might be dealing with a lot.
Okay, so we've covered the whole passive observation part. Now it's time to get active. Let's talk about how to ask questions like a detective, because trust me, the right kind of question can make a lie just completely fall apart on its own. It all starts with something called the magic question trick.
So most of us, we ask simple yes or no questions, which, let's be honest, are super easy to lie to. Instead of asking if they did something, the magic question assumes they did it. This completely throws them off balance. They can't just give a simple no. They are forced to invent a whole complicated story on the spot, and that is where liars almost always slip up. This next one, the double-check trap, it's genius. You ask about the same event twice, but you phrase the question a little differently, and you space it out by, say, 10 minutes. People telling the truth? They'll be consistent, no problem, because they're just pulling from a real memory. But liars? They're trying to remember a story they just made up, and keeping those fake details straight under pressure is incredibly hard.
All right, now for a trick that is almost unfair. It's called the interrupt trick. Right in the middle of their beautifully crafted story, you just jump in with a random question about some small detail from earlier. You see, lying takes a ton of mental energy. They're juggling the fake story, watching your reaction, trying to act normal. An unexpected interruption just overloads their brain, and it often causes them to get flustered and contradict themselves.
Okay, so we've talked about how to watch someone and how to question them, but what if the biggest clues aren't in their body language at all, but in the words they're using? Let's dive into the final piece of the puzzle, advanced verbal cues. The tells are often hiding in plain sight, right in their sentences. You need to pay really close attention to what I call wishy-washy words. When someone's being deceptive, they often avoid making strong, firm statements. They'll use words like I think, probably, or I guess, because it gives them an escape route. So instead of, I was at home, they might say, I think I was probably at home. That little bit of weakness in their language, that's a huge tell.
Have you ever been there? You're questioning someone and you feel like you're getting so close to the truth, and then suddenly they go, hey, did you see that game last night? That's the topic swap. It is their brain's panic button. Don't fall for it. The trick is to gently bring them back. Just say something like, yeah, we can talk about that in a minute, but first, tell me more about, and then just watch how uncomfortable they get.
This last one is a little bit sneaky, but it works so well. It's the fake detail trap. You introduce a small, incorrect detail into the conversation, something they definitely never said. Like, so you mentioned it was raining. A person telling the truth, their brain will immediately want to fix the error. They'll say, no, it was sunny. But a liar? They're often so scared of contradicting you that they'll just agree with the fake detail to keep the peace. It's amazing.
So now we bring it all together. You see, when you combine sharp observation with strategic questioning and really listening for those verbal cues, you're not just guessing anymore. You have a real, systematic toolkit for getting to the truth. So let's do a quick recap of the full toolkit we've just put together. It all starts with observation, right? Establishing their baseline and using that 5-second rule. Then you go on the offensive with your questions. The magic question, the double-check trap, the interrupt trick, and finally, you listen carefully for those verbal clues, the weak words, the topic swaps, and how they react to that fake detail. Each one is a powerful tool on its own.
And here is the final, and maybe the most crucial piece of advice. These techniques are incredibly powerful, but they work best when you combine them with your own intuition. These tools can help you figure out why something feels wrong, so trust that feeling. If your gut is telling you something is off, it probably is.
So these aren't just parlor tricks. This is a whole new way of listening and observing the world around you. It empowers you to see what's really being said, beyond just the words. So the only question left is, now that you have the toolkit, who will you be watching?